Greetings to you, my fellow citizens. So today, there are two very important national conversations that are raging in the public. Namely, number one, in the morning, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Madam Nelly Muti, nullified the Chawama seat, which ultimately means Honorable Tasila Lungu is no longer a member of Parliament. Number two, you are also aware that the Oasis Forum did respond to the invitation to the President to have a sit-down dialogue over Bill 7. Now, I know I'm going to speak to Bill 7 later in the evening, but I want to speak to the nullification of Honorable Tasila Lungu's seat. Now, as I speak to this subject, I want to confess I am heartbroken. So I've spent a considerable amount of time perusing through the comments on my social platform when I spoke to this matter earlier on. And boy, the comments I have seen speak to one thing, which is why I am heartbroken. Not heartbroken because I have been disrespected by some young people, some cadres or praise singers, but heartbroken because there seemingly is a very serious information gap. And when the citizenry are not informed, then we have a problem. Just like the Bible did remark, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. I don't think that this country can develop if this information gap is allowed to continue, which is why I will take it upon myself not to be scared to speak to any contentious issues. I have volunteered to be speaking to all manner of subjects so that we can be enlightening our citizens to have a proper understanding of these national issues. Interestingly, I have observed a pattern from a cross-section of our people. Namely that the people that speaks loudest, the people who comments every day on our platforms, are people that are very little understanding, or even people who don't even understand anything about what is being discussed. You see the pattern. Somebody will just come and comment, Ulishiru, Tawakwatamano. All manner of disrespect and insults. But I thought that society should be designed in such a way that if you disagree with me on a point that I've raised, bring your point. So that then we compare who has the better point. But it looks like it has become a fashion, and it looks acceptable now that somebody will just go to your Facebook, your own page, just lambast you with all manner of insults. They don't even say anything to the subject. All they know is to come and disrespect. Interestingly, there are those who just sit to wait for the response. Then they'll come and attack you. How can you be president? Oh, how can you be a leader when you are responding like that? Seldom do these people go to check what sort of comments are being, posted. Now, the Constitution established government and divided it into three arms: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The legislature is Parliament, okay? The members of Parliament, the Speaker, and the President. That is Parliament. Okay, it only becomes Parliament, of course, when the President attends, the National Assembly. Now, Parliament has gone further to dictate that the National Assembly or Parliament, we can interchange those names, whichever is comfortable with you, must design its own rules of operation. I'm fine. Parliament, after establishing, or rather the Constitution after establishing Parliament, has now dictated that Parliament must establish its own rules of operation. And these rules of operation are like our Constitution as Parliament, our guidance, our Bible. We call it the standing orders. These standing orders are decided by the entire members of Parliament. they make submissions, they discuss those submissions and adopt them. They become the standing orders or the operating rules. The sad part is that the rules we are operating on today were dictated by the current speaker. You heard when the MPs protested the adoption of the current standing orders. And when I say the MPs, it was not just the MPs from the opposition, it was also the MPs from the ruling party. We all walked out of the room because we did not agree that these very important rules of operations must be dictated to us. But what happened? Unfortunately, it was imposed on us. So let's say we have these sets of rules we operate under, which are called standing orders. Now, within the establishment of Parliament, within the standing orders, Parliament now has designed what is called committees, different committees where members of Parliament are going to belong. There's an important committee which we can call the Disciplinary Committee, also referred to as the Privileges Committee. This is a committee that looks at all disciplinary matters. So whenever you abscond, whenever you insult, or whenever you are found outside or operating outside the rules, you are taken to the Privileges Committee to be answerable to the committee. Then the committee makes a recommendation. This committee is spearheaded by the first deputy speaker. When they make a recommendation on you for a disciplinary matter, then the matter is referred to the speaker for her to make a decision, and the decision is read in Parliament as if it was decided by the speaker herself. Now, in the case of absenteeism, there are days that are prescribed that you can be away from Parliament, after which days you are said to have gone outside the rules of engagement. So they are going to refer you to the Disciplinary Committee. All right? Now, because of modernization, especially what happened during the COVID times, Parliament decided to modernize, meaning that at some point we were not expected to sit in Parliament. We were expected to conduct business virtually using virtual platforms or AMA gadgets. We are actually all given AMA gadgets as members of Parliament. After the COVID period, of course, the attendance virtually was more or less restricted to only those who get special permission from Parliament, or rather from the Speaker. Now, the issue of Honorable Tasila Lungu and her being absent, you know she has been absent because of the funeral. The father passed away, and unfortunately this funeral has taken way beyond the normal time. And so this matter, by way of complaint, was raised, and the matter was referred to this committee, the Disciplinary Committee, which is called the Privileges Committee. Now, the committee considered all manner of aspects, including, ubuntu. When somebody's father passes away, for one reason or another, they've not buried, what should we do with that person, and all that stuff. Interestingly, this committee recommended that Honorable Tasila's leave be extended and that she be allowed to be participating in Parliament business virtually. That was a recommendation of the committee, which is spearheaded by the first deputy speaker. Today, when the speaker read this decision, she actually intimated to this fact that the committee recommended that Honorable Tasila's leave be extended, as well as her being allowed to attend virtually. However, she overruled this recommendation from the committee, which is a committee that comprises of opposition members, independent members, the ruling party members, and this committee is spearheaded by the first deputy speaker. So Vanelli has overruled this recommendation by the Speaker and has decided to nullify the Chawama seat. It means, therefore, that the next election should be held in the next 90 days, as prescribed by the Constitution, unless otherwise. If the by-election in Chawama is going to be held in the next 90 days, it means that the next Member of Parliament may only be a Member of Parliament for Chawama, maybe for 3-4 months. Interestingly, the same people that wants to be saving costs wants now to have a by-election with only an MP who is going to save for 3, 4, 5 months. Now, there are these arguments that I have read suggesting why should Honorable Tasila be far away when Chawama needs her to be representing her or them. It will interest you that there's been a misconception as to what the role of a Member of Parliament is, and I want to break it down. The role of a Member of Parliament is to legislate, ukupanga mafunde. That is why we spend most of our time in Parliament, mukupanga mafunde. And when we go into the community, it is basically to interface with the community to understand their challenges so that those challenges can be translated into laws. So the role of an MP is to go to Parliament to make laws. So we go to Parliament to discuss, to be part of the discussions. Interestingly, there are some members of Parliament who have been in Parliament and have not said a single word for 5 years. As to whether they've done their job as Member of Parliament, or whether they do their job, is now up to you to respond. The other part of what we do as MPs is to approve the budget. So legislate, make laws, approve the budget, and also to hold this executive accountable, okay, for its actions and inaction. It's called oversight. We provide oversight over the executive, asking them, why have you done this? Why haven't you done that? So those are the distinct roles of parliamentarians. But of course, the wider expectation from the people is that the MP is supposed to go and lobby for development. But I will tell you, whether an MP lobbies or does not lobby for development, development still remains the work of central government for a functional country. In a country that is functional, the role of developing communities, it should never be a responsibility of an MP. It is strictly the responsibility of central and local government, the executive. So it therefore should tell you that the ultimate role of an MP is to make laws. Making laws means you go to Parliament to be part of the discussions in the formation of the laws. Now, some of your people whom you have sent to Parliament have never participated in the making of these laws. The question is, do they do the job for you? I think they don't. Because the only way you can say your MP is representing you or is doing the job is when they are there actively participating in the processes of making the law. Now, because of circumstances, some members of Parliament are allowed to attend these proceedings virtually. Maybe they've traveled out of the country, maybe they are sick, or the case of Tasila is they have a bereavement. A lot of us have attended Parliament virtually. Some have relatives in America. Princess Kasune has got relatives in America. Relatives in America. When they travel, they get permission and they are allowed to participate virtually. We have a Member of Parliament unique case, Honorable Kalimi Malole MP, who was out of Parliament, I think, for over 8 months because of an accident. Okay? Now, 8 months is too long, but the circumstances forced Parliament to allow him to be out of Parliament, and at some point he was allowed to be attending Parliament virtually. So how special is the case of Honorable Tasila? Honorable Tasila, by our standing, Ubuntu, tradition and culture, the father has not been buried. She's still mourning. And that is why the Committee of Parliament, the Privileges Committee, considered all these things and decided, let us not be too harsh on this MP. Let us allow the extension of our leave, and also allow her to start now, but attending to parliamentary business virtually. And that is a recommendation. Interestingly, the Speaker decides to hell with that recommendation. I am going to send her out of Parliament, and she has nullified the seat. Now, these are the legal basis on which we are supposed to discuss this very topical issue, which is a national issue requiring a sober conversation. I've decided to put this video so that I help a lot of people who are discussing this matter without an understanding. There are some people who tell you, you as an MP, how do you not know the law? What does the Constitution say? The Constitution does not decide who should be disciplined or not. The disciplinary is our rules. We are the ones who decide who should be disciplined or not, and how far the disciplinary measure should go. Interestingly, we have allowed ourselves committees, or we have decided these people are going to be our disciplinary committees. And when they make a recommendation, we abide by those recommendations. Interestingly, the Speaker overrules these recommendations by this very important committee. So I just thought I must put a voice to this matter, so that as we discuss this issue, if you allow the Speaker to be nullifying seats, especially at a point like this, when we are very few months to go, you nullify a seat because you want another member of parliament to come in, which member of parliament is only going to be there for only a few months, and the country is going to lose colossal sums of money over a by-election. Are we being unfair to this young lady? I think that as society, we as Ubuntu people are not being unfair to Tasila, because whatever the circumstances are beyond you and me. But this lady is mourning our late father, a man that saved this country. You claim you love the man. You claim you want to give him a dignified burial. But on the other hand, you are persecuting his children and family. The question to you, are we being fair? Even when we say the people of Chawama are not being represented, colleagues, the people of Chawama can easily be represented by allowing Tasila to be participating in parliamentary business virtually, whilst this issue has not been given closure. Now you can discuss this matter from this informed point of view. God bless you, and I hope to hear from you. I thank you.